Caffeinate me, baby. Coffee just hits so different in the morning. Hello and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about my book turn-offs. Things about books that have me turning my back and running away. As far as I can get, I run for the hills to have a little the hills are alive moment. Maria who? I hope some of you get that reference. The Sound of Music is my favorite. I feel like my book turn-off list just keeps growing and growing and growing, unfortunately. And I want to know yours as well, so be sure to drop your book turn-offs down below in the comments. And also let me know if any of mine are the same as yours. I keep little lists in my phone in my notes app. So I've got a full book turn-off list in here. I also have a book turn-on list, but today I'm going to expose my book turn-off list. We all have different things that have us like gravitating towards books and different things that have us running away from books. And I think it's really fun to see all our differences and similarities as well. First up, when a sequel comes out and it looks slimmer than the book before it. If the sequel is significantly slimmer than the book before it, instant red flag. Red flag! Not that I'm good at keeping up with sequels anyway, but if the second book in a trilogy specifically, that middle book, if it's not either the same amount of pages as the first book or longer, then I'm just gonna assume that there didn't need to be a sequel, there didn't need to be a middle book. You should have either chucked that on the first book or chucked it on the third book and call it a duology. Easy as that. I can cut a bit of slack if it's a series, but if it's a trilogy, just save yourself some time, save me some time, and make it a duology. More times than not, I've found that if the second book in a trilogy is slimmer than the first book, it's a filler book, 100%. You can't tell me otherwise, you can't change my mind, mind has been made up. Like, it's a sure sign that it's a filler, and it's probably not going to progress the plot in the way that it needs to. If you guys have read a trilogy where the middle book has been slimmer than the first book, and you really did feel like it kind of added to the overall trilogy, and it really was like a perfect bridge into the third book, let me know in the comments down below. I'm just genuinely curious. I will not judge you. I just want to know. Because every time I end up in that situation where the second book is smaller, nope. No. Next, if the book has footnotes, I don't want it. I find them to be just so aggravating, like, I'm sorry, but I'm also not sorry at all. I don't want to read that extra little bit at the bottom of the page. That is more than likely not going to add anything but annoyance and aggravation to my reading process. Sometimes it's okay if it's every now and then something needs to be explained further, they put it in the footnotes, that's okay. But for me, if it's more so a part of the book's writing process, or if that's like the way that the book is formatted and that's kind of like the quirky aspect of it, no! I'm probably gonna pass up on it. It's such a distraction for me with the actual story. Like, I will be fully dissolved into a story and then the footnote pops up and I am instantly taken out of it. That is a way to pull me out of a book. It's like when you're snuggled up having a nice little dream and something really aggravating in the real world just comes in and wakes you up and you're like, bestie, I wanted to stay in that dreamville that I was in and you just ruined everything. That's basically what it is for me. That's what a footnote does. I want to put my foot on that note and I don't want to see it. Pretend it does not exist. This is one that I feel like has kind of developed for me over the past year or past few years. And that's when a book is being sold or marketed solely on the tropes within the book. And this is something that I've even done in the past. I'm like, oh, this book has this trope and that trope and that trope. And I'm going to try to stop doing that. Here's the thing. I get why books are marketed in that way or recommended in that way because we all have tropes that we love. And if we hear that a book has a specific trope that we love, we're going to want to read it, of course. But for me personally, there's two different things here. One is that sometimes I feel like they're spoilers. Like, it just kind of ruins the overall reading experience because you know what's coming. So you kind of lose like tension and excitement in the actual experience of reading the book because you know what's coming. You know the different tropes that are worked in the book, so you kind of lose that element of surprise with the overall reading experience. And then the second path over here is that sometimes the book is recommended based off these different tropes, and the tropes are executed horribly, or it even feels like the tropes are just like forced in there because they're popular, and it just, I hate it. I can't stand it. It's such a big turnoff for me lately. Now that I mention this, I feel like I've talked about this pretty recently, but you know what? It's worth bringing up again. Am I alone in feeling this way? I think I would just rather hear a description of what the book is about and kind of pick up on what tropes might be in it through the description, because you can like pick up on tropes by hearing descriptions sometimes. You don't have to be like, this has a found family element. This is enemies to lovers. This is a chosen one story. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like you can easily pick up on those things within the description of a book. Next turnoff for me, something that will like make me not want to read a book, is if I read the description and I get confused by it. That almost always makes me feel iffy and super hesitant about picking up a book if I get lost while reading the description. Like, what makes you think I'm going to understand anything at all within the book if I can't even understand what the book is about? Specifically fantasy, if it's a fantasy book and I'm reading the description and I can't decipher what's going on within that description, it's almost 100% fact that I'm going to have issues with the world building within that book. I call it every time. I read the description, gaze into the future, have a little "that's so Raven" moment, and I can foresee the fact that I am not going to understand the world building, or it's going to be like way over my head. I think for me personally, less is best with a description always. Give me a few lines that will intrigue me. Give me an overall idea as to what's happening. Don't try to like full on build up the world within the description. Leave that to the book itself. Next, when a book is only specifically being pushed because of the fact that it has a unique quality to it. This one is a turnoff, but I almost feel like hypocritical talking about it because I fall into this trap all the time, and I'm actually getting ready to start a book that has a very unique quality to it. But there are books that often come out in like weird formats. Like examples, I'm thinking of a book that came out that was built up on receipts, another book that was built up on list, and then a really big example is Illuminae. The Illuminae Files trilogy. This book is pushed mostly because of its unique format. It's told in such a visual way, and I get why it is pushed in this way. But there are books that often come out with this format, and it feels like we never really know what it's about. We don't know anything about the book itself, what the story is about. We only know the unique quality to it. And it's like, yeah, that's cool that you're doing something different, but what's the story even about? And I feel like a lot of books that are written in this kind of unique format hardly are ever that good. That was freaking harsh. But I mean, Illuminae can't relate. I loved this book. I thought it was excellent. But I feel like what ends up happening here is that the story itself just does not work in this formatted way. Like, it's super clunky and the story just doesn't flow well, and it's hard to like even understand what's happening half the time. So these books will be pushed like, oh, you've never read a book like this before. This book will blow your mind with its crazy format. A book told in a way you've never seen be done before. And it's like, yeah, probably haven't read a book like that before, but also, what is the book about and is it good? That's what I need to know. Next up, this one is me probably being a little bit annoying, but oversaturation. I feel like I felt this way more so recently, and I think it's because the pandemic happened, my screen time went up, I'm on social media a lot more now than I ever have been, but sometimes I feel like there are books that I see every day on my feed, all the time. Every corner I turn, I see it. Every page I visit, I see it. And at first, sure, I get intrigued. I want to know what the book is about. Why is everybody talking about it? Why do I see it so often? But then I get annoyed because I'm just seeing the same book over and over and over and over and over again and again and again. And it's like, okay, I get it. I see it with my eyeballs. I know what the cover looks like. It's pretty much imprinted on my brain now, so I can see it when I close my eyes. Like, when I close my eyes now, I am seeing it on the back of my eyelids because that's just how much I've seen it. It's just like tattooed under my eyelids, you know? So when my eyelids close, I see the book. Tell me you're dramatic without telling me you're dramatic. And it can be such a turnoff for me, but at the same time, when I eventually someday become an author, that's what I want. I want my book to be pushed like crazy. So it's like a double-edged sword situation, because as an author, you want your book to be pushed, you want your book to be seen, but then there's people like me who get tired of seeing those books over and over and over again. Next up, celebrity books, and I'm not talking about celebrity memoirs, I'm more so talking about when celebrities attempt to write books in the fiction realm. I'm all about celebrities writing memoirs. Like, that makes sense to me. It makes sense that people would be intrigued about their lives. So of course, go for it, write about your lives, share it with the world. Even though I hardly ever read celebrity memoirs. Have I ever even read one? I want to read the Jeanette McCurdy one. But when they step into the fiction realm, I'm just always super hesitant. I feel like more times than not, I'm smelling a ghostwriter situation. The last one is one that I get annoyed by, and it's one that I understand why it's a part of like marketing. When a book is marketed being like, a plot twist you'll never see coming! An ending that will blow your mind! You've never read a book with a finale like this one! Well, now it's not gonna blow my mind now, is it? I know something big is coming, so it's probably not gonna affect me at all. You ruined the surprise. It was a surprise party, and you ruined it. I feel like I definitely used to do this too when I was like talking about books. I was like, oh my gosh, the plot twist. Oh my gosh, the cliffhanger. Ah! But I try not to anymore because I don't want to ruin the reading experience for people. I try my best to let people be shooketh on their own. Those are some of my book turnoffs, some things that I just really don't like about books lately. Let me know down below in the comments what your book turnoffs are, or just let me know if we have any similarities, because I would love to know. If you like this video, be sure to go and hit that like button. If you want to see more bookish content from me, be sure to go and hit subscribe or go and hit that bell icon and you'll be notified every time I post new videos. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope your day is bright, that tomorrow is brighter. Keep reading what your heart desires, and I will see you soon with a new video. Bye, y'all.